Senior analyst Vextor's translucent fingers trembled as they hovered over the monitoring station's control surface. The rhythmic patterns pulsing across his screen shouldn't exist, not in this uncharted sector, and certainly not with this level of complexity. "Computer, verify source again," he commanded, his 6 eyes blinking in rapid succession. Source verified. Transmissions originate from third planet of star system XJ2271, previously catalogued as uninhabited potential. The system responded in its emotionless tone. Vextor's breathing quickened. For 8 cycles, he had monitored this sector without incident. The Galactic Confederation had mapped these regions centuries ago, marking potentially habitable worlds for future consideration. Nothing in the database suggested intelligent life had evolved here, let alone life capable of broadcasting signals that somehow achieved compression ratios that rivaled Confederation standards. He tapped the emergency communication channel. "Commander Zixthar, forgive the interruption during your diplomatic meal," he began, knowing full well that breaking the diplomatic corps dinner was itself a minor career offense. "But I've detected anomalous transmissions from system XJ2271. The signals demonstrate technology that shouldn't be possible for any undocumented species." The silence lasted exactly 4.2 seconds, long enough for Vextor to consider that his career might be ending. "I'll be there in 6 minutes," Commander Zixthar responded finally, her voice carrying none of the ritual politeness typically required after a meal interruption. Aboard the Confederation's scientific vessel Boundless Curiosity, Commander Zixthar stood motionless before the central holographic display. Around her, the ship's senior staff had assembled hurriedly, many still wearing their formal diplomatic attire. The compression algorithms alone would qualify these beings for Confederation contact, Science Officer Krelvex noted, manipulating the signal patterns in the air before them. But it's their development timeline that truly defies understanding. The hologram shifted to display a chronological progression of signals from the planet, assembled from archival data and new detections. In just 100 rotations around their star, they've progressed from primitive radio transmissions to quantum-encoded communications, Krelvex continued. No species in Confederation records has ever advanced at such a rate. Commander Zixthar turned to face the assembled officers, her bioluminescent skin pulsing with the deep blue of decision. "Prepare the ship for immediate departure," she ordered, breaking centuries of protocol regarding new species observation. "This discovery cannot wait for committee approval." Flight Officer Paxilier tilted her head in the gesture of respectful questioning. "Commander, regulations specify a minimum 17-cycle observation period before." The regulations were not written with this scenario in mind. Zixthar interrupted, her skin now flashing with rare purple determination patterns. "Whatever these beings are, however they've achieved this technological progression, the Confederation must know." As the Boundless Curiosity broke orbit from the Confederation outpost, alert messages already raced across subspace to the 17-member worlds. Commander Zixthar stood alone in her quarters, studying the visual data of the small blue-green planet. "What are you?" she whispered to the spinning hologram. "And how have you remained hidden for so long?" The ship accelerated to maximum sustainable velocity, its course set for Earth, a world whose name the Confederation did not yet know, but whose technological fingerprint had just altered the course of galactic history. The massive Confederation vessel Boundless Curiosity materialized at the edge of the solar system, its advanced cloaking technology rendering it invisible to Earth's detection systems. Specialist Mira Lund stood motionless before the observation deck's panoramic display, her iridescent skin flickering with the pale green of scientific fascination. "They'd done it again," she announced, closing her analysis pod with more force than Confederation decorum typically allowed. Her colleagues turned in synchronized surprise. The holographic display activated, showing a laboratory on the blue planet below. Humans in white coats celebrated around a device no larger than their primitive communication tablets. "Quantum entanglement communication," Mira Lund explained, enlarging the image. They've achieved stable transmission across their planet using principles our models predicted would take them another 70 years to discover. Science Officer Krellvex approached, his movements deliberate and measured as befitted his rank. Impossible. Our evolutionary development scales are precise. No species advances this quickly without outside intervention. The ship's senior council convened within minutes, gathering in the circular chamber where decisions requiring collective input were made. The debate began almost immediately. These humans must have been given technology, senior biologist Venlar insisted, her tendrils quivering with certainty. Perhaps one of the non-Confederation species has violated the non-interference protocols. Commander Zixthar remained silent, allowing the debate to unfold as was proper. The view screens surrounding them displayed different facets of human civilization, their divided nations, their environmental challenges, their seemingly endless conflicts. If they were gifted technology, Mira Lund countered, pointing to the displays, why would they still struggle with such basic problems? Why would they develop weapons before solving climate regulation? Why would they explore space before achieving global unity? The room fell silent as the specialists considered this logical inconsistency. I believe, Mira Lund continued, her voice softer now, that their advancement comes precisely because of their fractured society. They compete. They race against each other. What the Confederation achieves through careful collective planning, they achieve through something almost unknown to us: competitive innovation. Below them, unaware of the watching eyes, Dr. Kira Sharma worked through her third consecutive night shift at the Antarctic Quantum Research Station. The facility, buried beneath 50 meters of ice, housed Earth's most advanced quantum radar system, a project deemed too theoretical by major government funding bodies, but championed by a coalition of private research foundations. Power levels stable at 93%, her assistant reported, sliding another cup of coffee across the monitoring station. Kira nodded without looking up. Let's try the modified pulse sequence. The simulations suggest we might achieve better penetration through the ionosphere. Around her, the international team of physicists and engineers made final adjustments. None of them had slept properly in days, driven by the competitive urgency to be the first to achieve what their colleagues in Beijing and Moscow were also pursuing: a quantum radar capable of detecting objects beyond conventional electromagnetic limitations. Beginning test sequence in 5 minutes, the automated system announced. On the Confederation vessel, Commander Zixthar finally broke her silence. We will continue observation for another 7 rotations before reporting to Central Council. This species requires further study before classification. As the commander spoke, the ship's systems automatically adjusted their cloaking resonance to match Earth's upper atmospheric conditions, standard procedure for long-term observation missions. None of the highly trained crew could have anticipated how this routine adjustment would interact with the quantum radar about to activate below. At the Antarctic station, Dr. Sharma looked at her team and nodded. Let's make history, people. Her finger pressed the activation sequence, unaware that the energy about to be released would forever alter humanity's place in the cosmos. Quantum pulse activated, Dr. Sharma announced, her voice steady despite running on caffeine and determination for the past 36 hours. The Antarctic Research Station hummed with escalating energy as the experimental radar powered up. The quantum particles accelerated through specially designed pathways, achieving states of entanglement that conventional physics had once deemed impossible. The radar wasn't just sending out signals, it was creating quantum bridges across space, designed to detect objects through principles that transcended traditional electromagnetic limitations. Aboard the Boundless Curiosity, the first warning came as a subtle vibration through the ship's hull. Energy anomaly detected, the monitoring system announced calmly. Unknown quantum signature interacting with cloaking field. Before any crew member could respond, alarms erupted across every deck. The ship's defensive systems registered the quantum particles not as a detection method, but as an attack of unprecedented sophistication. Field destabilization at 60%, and increasing. Security Officer Jack Svin shouted, his normally composed demeanor fracturing as displays flashed urgent warnings. Commander Zixthar rushed to the command center, her movements betraying alarm that would have scandalized Confederation protocol instructors. Reroute auxiliary power to the cloaking matrix. Too late. For 17 crucial seconds, the cloaking technology that had kept the Confederation vessel hidden failed completely. The massive ship became fully visible to Earth's observation systems, and the Antarctic facility's experimental quantum radar captured its image with perfect clarity. In the research station below, chaos erupted. "What in God's name is that?" An engineer gasped, pointing at the monitor displaying radar returns. The image was unmistakable, massive, structured, artificial, and definitely not human-made. The room exploded into frantic activity as researchers called for verification, system checks, and secondary confirmations. Captain Eliza Chen, the station's military liaison, pushed through the chaos to reach the main console. Her years of crisis training crystallized into a moment of clarity amid the tumult. "Lock down all communications," she ordered, her voice cutting through the panic. "Nothing leaves this room until we verify." "But Captain, this is clearly Dr. Sharma began. "I know exactly what it appears to be," Chen interrupted. "And if it is, every government will be scrambling to make first contact. Probably with missiles." She studied the object, her mind racing through protocols never designed for this scenario. The massive structure was already fading from their screens. Whatever had made it visible was apparently temporary. "Dr. Sharma, can you send a direct signal through your quantum system?" The physicist nodded, though uncertainty showed on her face. "Theoretically, yes. But what would we send?" Captain Chen made the decision that would redirect human history. Mathematics. The universal language. She quickly input a sequence into the system. 2, 3, 5, 7, 11, 13. The first 6 prime numbers. "Transmitting on all quantum frequencies," Dr. Sharma confirmed, her fingers flying across the interface. Aboard the Confederation vessel, systems gradually stabilized as the cloaking technology reasserted itself. But the damage was done. In the communication center, Specialist Mira Lund stared at the incoming transmission, recognizing the sequence instantly. "Commander," she called out, her voice hushed with realization. "They've seen us, and they're responding." The sequence of prime numbers continued streaming across her screen. Not a weapons targeting system, not a threat display, but a greeting from one intelligent species to another. Commander Zixthar stared at the simple, elegant mathematics. The humans had not responded with fear or aggression, but with the most peaceful greeting imaginable. Proof of intelligence, offered freely across the void. "The protocol has been broken," she said quietly. "First contact is now inevitable." 18 hours after the Antarctic incident, Commander Zixthar made the decision that would earn her either celebration or court-martial in Confederation history. The massive ship decloaked deliberately, positioning itself over the neutral waters of the South Pacific. Global reaction was immediate and overwhelming. Stock markets worldwide suspended trading as values plummeted. Religious institutions convened emergency sessions. Military forces scrambled jets and activated defense systems, though thankfully no one fired. Dr. Marcus Williams checked his appearance one final time in the helicopter's small mirror. As Earth's leading xenolinguist, his unconventional theories about non-human communication had earned him both academic ridicule and a hasty appointment to humanity's first contact team. 5 minutes to contact point, the pilot announced as they approached the designated coordinates. Below them, the ocean's surface reflected sunlight onto the underside of the alien vessel, a structure whose impossible size and seamless construction already defied human engineering principles. "Remember," General Hayes reminded the small delegation, "establish peaceful intentions first. Everything else is secondary." The helicopter hovered above a platform that had extended from the alien ship. Dr. Williams led the 5-member team: linguist, physicist, biologist, diplomat, and military observer onto the smooth, slightly luminescent surface. "It's warm," the biologist whispered, touching the material with gloved hands. Before anyone could respond, an opening appeared in the previously seamless hull. 3 beings emerged, tall, 8-limbed creatures with iridescent skin that shifted colors in complex patterns. The central figure stepped forward. "We welcome Earth's representatives," it said in perfect, if strangely accented English. "I am Commander Zixthar of the Galactic Confederation exploration vessel Boundless Curiosity." Dr. Williams managed to mask his shock at their command of human language. "We are honored to meet you. I'm Dr. Marcus Williams, representing Earth's scientific community." The delegation was escorted into a chamber that seemed designed to approximate human comfort, though the proportions were slightly off in ways that triggered subtle unease. "You have questions," the alien identified as Specialist Mira Lund stated. It wasn't a question. "Several billion, at minimum," Dr. Williams replied with a nervous laugh. "Perhaps we could start with how long you've been observing Earth." The aliens exchanged color patterns before Commander Zixthar responded. "We have watched for decades, puzzled by your methods." What followed stunned the human delegation more than the aliens' appearance or technology. The Confederation representatives explained their confusion at humanity's technological development path, not the achievements themselves, but the chaotic, seemingly backward approach. "You built the internet before perfecting nuclear fusion," the science officer explained with visible confusion in its color patterns. "You explored space before ending poverty. You developed quantum computing while still burning fossil fuels." Dr. Williams leaned forward. "You're saying we did things in the wrong order." "Not wrong," Mira Lund corrected. "Impossible. No species in our records has developed technology through such unpredictable pathways." The implication slowly dawned on the human delegation. It wasn't just that aliens existed, it was that humans were fundamentally different from them. "Your methods defy our understanding," Commander Zixthar continued, "yet achieve results our models claimed impossible. This is why observation became contact." As the diplomatic team absorbed this revelation, millions watched the live-stream broadcast globally. Among them, Dr. Sharma and Captain Chen shared a bottle of whiskey in Antarctica, both awed and vindicated. "They think we're the weird ones." Chen laughed softly. Dr. Sharma nodded, eyes fixed on the screen. "Apparently, that's our superpower." The United Nations headquarters in New York transformed overnight. Security checkpoints multiplied, specialized environmental controls were hastily installed, and the General Assembly Hall was reconfigured to accommodate beings with anatomies never considered in the original design. 3 Confederation representatives had agreed to walk among humans, while a reciprocal delegation journeyed to the alien vessel. The exchange, unprecedented in human history, and apparently rare even for the Confederation, was broadcast globally. Professor Eleanor Santos, cultural anthropologist and member of the human delegation, floated through the Boundless Curiosity in a state of sensory overload. The ship itself seemed partially alive, its corridors shifting subtly to accommodate movement patterns. "This area contains our historical archives," her guide, Junior Science Officer Lumvex, explained. "Would this interest you?" "Absolutely," Santos replied, trying to mask her excitement behind professional composure. The archive rooms surrounded them with holographic displays of Confederation history. 17 species united over millennia of careful diplomacy and technological exchange. Santos noticed something peculiar as she studied the timeline. "Your technological development is remarkably linear," she observed. Lumvex's skin rippled with what Santos had learned was pride. "Yes, each advancement builds methodically upon the previous one. This is the natural order of progress." Santos hesitated before asking, "Do you have fiction? Art that doesn't serve a practical purpose?" The alien's colors shifted to a pattern Santos hadn't seen before. "Why would we dedicate resources to creating things that aren't real?" Meanwhile, at the United Nations, the Confederation representatives experienced their own culture shock. Science Officer Krelvex stood bewildered in the Metropolitan Museum of Art, surrounded by human creativity spanning thousands of years. These objects have no function, he noted to his human guide, Dr. Williams, yet you've preserved them for centuries. They function emotionally and spiritually, Williams explained. They connect us to our past and help us imagine possible futures. The alien skin flickered with patterns indicating deep confusion. You create imaginary scenarios to advance real technology. Sometimes, yes, Williams nodded. Many of our technological breakthroughs began as science fiction, imagined possibilities that inspired scientists to make them real. Across town, at Columbia University's engineering department, the moment that would crystallize the fundamental difference between the species was unfolding. Engineering prodigy Hiroshi Takeda demonstrated human computing technology to specialist Miralun. As the presentation concluded, an unexpected power fluctuation caused the system to falter. Without hesitation, Takeda opened the device, examined its components, and made an improvised adjustment to a power coupling. The system not only recovered but operated with 15% greater efficiency. Miralun's skin flashed with alarm patterns. You modified critical technology without simulations or approval committees. Takeda blinked in confusion. It was a simple fix. Why would I need a committee? The specialist's colors shifted through complex patterns as she processed this concept. In the Confederation, modifications require extensive testing and unanimous approval. The process typically requires 17 cycles, what you would call months. But that would kill innovation, Takeda replied. Sometimes you need to take risks to make breakthroughs. Risks, Miralun repeated, the translator struggling with the concept. You embrace unpredictability as a methodology. Takeda smiled. We call it creativity. Later that evening, as both delegations shared their experiences via secure communications, the fundamental truth became clear to both species. Humans embrace chaos to find order, while the Confederation imposes order to avoid chaos. Neither approach was wrong, but the intersection of these philosophies would soon transform galactic civilization in ways neither could yet imagine. The secure chamber aboard the Boundless Curiosity hummed with tension as specialist Miralun prepared her presentation. The holographic displays surrounding her contained 3 weeks of intensive analysis, the most comprehensive study of human innovation ever compiled. 17 faces appeared in projection around the chamber, each representing a High Council member from the Confederation's constituent species. Their expressions, translated through their various physiologies, ranged from curiosity to unmistakable concern. Honorable Council, Miralun began, her skin pulsing the formal colors of academic presentation. I present my analysis of human technological development patterns and projections. The data streams flowing through the chamber told a story that even the most skeptical council member could not dismiss. Graphs of human innovation rates climbed at angles that defied Confederation predictive models. Based on observed acceleration factors and accounting for the catalyzing effect of first contact, Miralun continued, her voice steady despite the gravity of her conclusion. Humans will likely surpass current Confederation technology in approximately 35 Earth years. The chamber erupted in color patterns of disbelief and alarm. Impossible, Senior Administrator Voxpel objected, his tendrils vibrating with agitation. No species develops that rapidly. Your models must be flawed. Miralun had anticipated this reaction. She projected a historical comparison, showing human technological advancement from primitive radio to quantum entanglement communication, achievements that had taken Confederation species centuries to develop. Their innovation accelerates under pressure, she explained, showing correlation data between human wars, resource scarcity, and technological leaps. And first contact represents the greatest pressure in their history. The revelation split the council. Elder Jokmer, representing the oldest Confederation species, flashed colors of deep concern. We must control their expansion through strategic limitation of knowledge, he argued. Their chaotic approach threatens the order we've maintained for millennia. Council member Trenval countered with patterns indicating pragmatic adaptation. Better to ally with them before they discover faster-than-light travel independently, she reasoned. Their approach may yield principles we've never considered. On Earth, intelligence agencies detected the encrypted transmissions streaming from the Confederation vessel to distant star systems. In the Pentagon's newly established Extraterrestrial Communications Division, Dr. Williams and his team worked tirelessly to catalog the patterns. 17 distinct transmission types, he reported to the hastily assembled National Security Council, each targeting different star systems, each with unique encryption. General Hayes studied the projection map. Are they calling for reinforcements? I don't believe so, Williams replied. Based on signal characteristics and response patterns, I believe they're consulting their government. And not all communications suggest agreement. Defense Secretary Harrison leaned forward. You're saying they're arguing about us? Williams nodded slowly. Some of these transmissions contain mathematical models predicting human development rates. If I'm interpreting correctly, we're advancing far faster than they consider safe. The implications settled heavily over the room. Humanity wasn't merely joining a galactic community, it was potentially disrupting it. In her private laboratory at MIT, Dr. Sharma worked through another sleepless night. The data provided by the Confederation visitors on theoretical physics had confirmed several of her most radical hypotheses. If her calculations were correct, the principles governing faster-than-light travel were not only possible but achievable with Earth's current technology base. She looked at the equations glowing on her screen, recognizing their profound implications. The Confederation had taken centuries to discover these principles through methodical, incremental advancement. Humanity would likely implement them within a decade through their characteristic leaps of intuition. They're not ready for us, she whispered to herself, both thrilled and terrified by the thought. The first vessel appeared without warning, materializing at the edge of the solar system with a burst of gravimetric distortion that triggered alarms in observatories worldwide. Unlike the elegant curves of the Confederation ship, this craft bristled with angular protrusions that even untrained human eyes recognized as weapons. 2 days later, a second ship arrived, followed by a third the next morning. Each positioned itself at strategic points around the solar system, maintaining distance while broadcasting signals directly to Earth. United Nations Secretary-General Amara Okafor stood before the emergency session of the Security Council, her normally composed demeanor showing the strain of sleepless nights. We have received 3 distinct communication packages, she announced, each from a species deemed too aggressive for Confederation membership. The room fell silent as the implications settled in. Humanity, barely 2 months into its awareness of extraterrestrial life, had become the focus of a galactic power play. The Krell hegemony offers weapons technology and defensive systems, Okafor continued. The Varish Combine proposes exclusive mining rights in exchange for faster-than-light drive specifications. The Dorn Collective suggests a military alliance against what they call Confederation expansionism. They're shopping for allies, the Russian ambassador observed. More accurately, Okafor corrected, they're shopping for us. Across the planet, governments nearly fractured under the strain of competing interests. Military leaders advocated for the defensive technology, corporate entities pushed for the mining exchange, and those suspicious of Confederation intentions favored the Dorn proposal. Commander Zik Star requested an urgent meeting with Secretary-General Okafor, her skin displaying patterns of diplomatic concern, never before observed by human specialists. These species were denied Confederation membership for their history of conquest through technological manipulation, she explained. They seek to use Earth as a destabilizing force. Okafor studied the alien commander, years of diplomatic experience allowing her to recognize sincerity despite the vast physiological differences. And what does the Confederation seek from us? She asked pointedly. The alien's colors shifted to patterns indicating uncomfortable truth. Stability. Your unpredictable innovation threatens the order we've maintained for millennia. 3 days later, Secretary General Okafor unveiled her response strategy. In a move the Confederation representatives described as contradictory and humans recognized as blindingly obvious, she invited representatives of all factions, the 3 aggressive species and the Confederation, to Earth simultaneously, creating the first pan-galactic diplomatic summit in known history. The United Nations Extraterrestrial Embassy, hastily constructed in neutral Geneva, became the stage for the most complex diplomatic dance humanity had ever choreographed. Rather than choosing sides, Earth positioned itself as the mediator between ancient rivalries. "We don't understand," Confederation diplomat Trenval confided to Okafor during a rare private moment. "You could secure tremendous advantage by allying with any single faction. Yet you choose the most complex path." Okafor smiled. "Compromise isn't weakness," she explained. "It's advanced strategy. Navigating tribal, national, and international conflicts has given us endless practice." The aliens' colors shifted in what human observers had learned to recognize as profound realization. "You've evolved to thrive in chaos," Trenval observed. "We've evolved to create order from it," Okafor corrected gently. "There's a difference." As the summit progressed, the pattern became clear to all observers. Humanity wasn't choosing sides in a galactic power struggle. It was rewriting the rules of engagement entirely. The diplomatic theories that had guided interstellar relations for millennia were being challenged by a species barely out of its planetary cradle. Most remarkably, it was working. 6 months after first contact, the International Space Station, now expanded with modular additions of both human and alien design, orbited Earth as a symbol of unprecedented cooperation. Representatives from 21 species gathered in the newly constructed Grand Assembly Chamber to witness the implementation of what interstellar diplomats now called the Humanity Protocol. Secretary General Okafor stood before the gathered delegates, her ceremonial robes incorporating elements from all participating civilizations. Behind her, holographic displays showed billions watching from across Earth, and transmissions streaming to 17 Confederation worlds. "Today marks not merely an agreement between species," she began, "but a fundamental reimagining of how civilizations can progress together." The document formally displayed before the Assembly represented something revolutionary. Not Earth's membership in the Confederation, as initially expected, but a new framework altogether. The Confederation's methodical, consensus-driven approach would merge with humanity's creative innovation process, with each complementing the other's strengths. Commander Zixthar, her skin displaying formal patterns rarely seen outside Confederation ceremonial halls, addressed the Assembly next. "For millennia, we advanced through careful, measured steps. We believed this was the only path. Humanity has shown us another way." The ceremony transitioned to the inaugural demonstration of this new partnership, a propulsion laboratory where Dr. Sharma and her Confederation counterparts unveiled the prototype that would forever change interstellar travel. Traditional faster-than-light theory relied on energy-intensive space-time manipulation, Dr. Sharma explained to the assembled delegates. "By applying quantum entanglement principles to multidimensional access points, we've achieved the same outcome with 80% less energy expenditure." The technical specifications displayed showed something remarkable. A propulsion system combining Confederation precision with human intuitive leaps, achieving results neither civilization would have discovered alone. The successful test, broadcast throughout the chamber, drew patterns of astonishment from even the most reserved Confederation representatives. As celebrations began, Specialist Miralun, now appointed as the first liaison of innovative exchange, observed the impact rippling through galactic civilization. In private conversation with Professor Santos, she reflected on the transformation unfolding. Species that evolved through careful, methodical advancement for millions of years now study human history, psychology, and problem-solving. She noted, her colors showing patterns of wonder. The Varish have established creative arts academies. The Krell are experimenting with competitive research models. Even the oldest Confederation worlds are restructuring their education systems. Santos smiled. And we're learning the value of patience, consensus, and long-term thinking. A fair exchange. Miralun agreed, her colors shifting to what humans had learned was amusement. Across the station, Dr. Williams and Science Officer Krell Vex reviewed applications for the newly established Confluence Academy, where young representatives from all species would study together. The curriculum integrates both methodical and creative approaches, Williams explained to a visiting journalist. Students will learn to think both linearly and laterally, systematically and intuitively. As the ceremonies concluded, Commander Zix Thar and Secretary General Okafor stood together observing Earth through the station's observation dome. When we first detected your signals, we expected to find another predictable civilization, the commander admitted. Instead, we found the teachers we never knew we needed. Okafor nodded thoughtfully. And we found the stability we've always sought. Below them, the blue planet continued its rotation, now part of something greater than itself. The universe watched as Earth became not just another world to catalog, but the catalyst for a renaissance that would transform development throughout the stars. The youngest civilization had become the teacher of the oldest, proving that sometimes the most unlikely species changes everything.